Kendrick Simpson's scheduled execution has been halted. The execution was set for March 7, 2024. The time was scheduled for 10 a.m. local time. The location was the Oklahoma State Penitentiary in McAlester, Oklahoma. Simpson is currently 43 years old. He was convicted of murder. The victims were Glen Palmer, age 20, and Anthony Jones, age 19. The murders occurred on January 16, 2006. The location of the murders was Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Simpson has been on Oklahoma's death row for 16 years following his conviction and sentencing. Give a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. The halt was requested by Oklahoma Attorney General Gentner Drummond. The primary reason for the request was to reschedule upcoming scheduled executions. This action was taken to allow more time between each execution procedure. The Attorney General cited that preparation for each execution is a time-intensive process. A contributing factor mentioned was that Oklahoma's Department of Corrections is currently understaffed. This staffing issue impacts the resources available for execution protocols. Attorney General Drummond's request was subsequently granted by the courts. As a result, several executions have been rescheduled. Kendrick Simpson's new execution date is currently pending and has not yet been publicly announced or received by his legal team. Kendrick Simpson reportedly had a difficult childhood. He was born to a teenage single mother. His father was not involved in his life during his formative years. Simpson dropped out of school in the 8th grade, ending his formal education early. At the age of 16, Simpson was shot. He was shot 5 times by individuals he considered his friends. The reason for this shooting was his refusal to murder a government witness. This event had significant physical and psychological consequences for him. He spent 2 months hospitalized after being shot. He underwent 16 surgeries in the 7 months following the shooting incident. Simpson continued to live with the fear that his former friends would find and kill him. He was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, as a result of this traumatic experience. Prior to the 2006 murders, Simpson had been previously convicted of armed robbery. He served time in prison for this armed robbery conviction. On the evening of January 15, 2006, Simpson went out with 2 friends. These friends were identified as Jonathan Dalton and Latango Robertson. Before leaving, Simpson placed his assault rifle into the vehicle they would be using. The 3 men proceeded to attend a house party. While at the party, they consumed alcohol. They also consumed marijuana at the party. Around 1 a.m. on January 16, 2006, they arrived at Fritzy's Hip Hop Club in Oklahoma City. Inside the club, Simpson and Dalton reportedly took ecstasy. A verbal altercation subsequently occurred inside the club. The altercation involved Simpson and a group that included Glen Palmer and Anthony Jones. The dispute reportedly began over Simpson's Chicago Cubs baseball cap. Following an initial comment about the cap, Simpson threatened the other group. Glen Palmer then punched Simpson, causing him to fall down. After this physical confrontation, Simpson and his friends decided to leave the club. After leaving the club, Simpson, Dalton, and Robertson encountered the victims in a parking lot. The victims were identified as London Johnson, Anthony Jones, and Glen Palmer. Dalton and Robertson reportedly attempted to calm Simpson down in the parking lot. However, Simpson expressed a desire to retaliate for the earlier altercation. When the victims left the parking lot in their vehicle, Simpson instructed Dalton, who was driving their car, to follow them. While following the victim's vehicle, Simpson told Robertson to give him his gun. Simpson reportedly threatened Robertson if he did not comply with the demand for the weapon. Dalton then pulled their vehicle up beside the victim's vehicle. Simpson pointed his gun, identified as an assault rifle, out the window of their car. Simpson then opened fire on the victim's vehicle. Glen Palmer and Anthony Jones were seated in the front seat of their car. London Johnson was in the back seat and survived the shooting. Glen Palmer and Anthony Jones received fatal gunshot wounds. Both Glen and Anthony died at the scene as a result of the injuries sustained. The victims' car crashed into an electric pole after the shooting occurred. London Johnson, the survivor, reportedly attempted to help his friends after the crash. Following the shooting, Dalton, Robertson, and Simpson were all arrested. They were taken into custody in connection with the murders of Glen Palmer and Anthony Jones. The legal process for each individual proceeded differently. Jonathan Dalton reached a plea deal with prosecutors. Latango Robertson also reached a plea deal. As a result of their respective plea deals, both Dalton and Robertson received 20-year prison sentences. Kendrick Simpson's case proceeded to trial. Kendrick Simpson was subsequently convicted of the murders. Following his conviction, Kendrick Simpson was sentenced to death. He has remained on death row in Oklahoma since his sentencing. The recent halt to his execution marks a temporary pause in his case within the state's capital punishment system. The rescheduling reflects procedural considerations within the Oklahoma Department of Corrections and the Attorney General's office. The legal status of his case continues to be monitored by legal professionals and those interested in the criminal justice system.